Mary Shotwell Little was a 25-year-old newlywed working as a secretary at Citizens and Southern Bank in Atlanta. Pretty, polite, and proper. But in the weeks leading up to her disappearance, Mary's composure, well, it began to fray. Friends and co-workers noticed her taking odd, hushed phone calls at work. "I don't hold anything against you," she was heard saying. "You can come over to my house any time you want, but I can't come over there." She was heard emphasizing over and over that she was a married woman. She had also started receiving 5 red roses from some secret admirer. She even went so far as to tell her friends she had something important to tell them. Something she never got the chance to say. Suddenly, this quiet newlywed who once drove home without a thought was now afraid to drive home alone. That evening, Mary had dinner with a co-worker at Lenox Square Shopping Center. Afterwards, she walked to her car and was never seen again. Her 1965 Mercury Comet, well, it was missing until the next day. It turned back up in the same parking lot. Inside that vehicle were bloodstains on the seat, undergarments neatly folded in the back seat, the same ones that Mary had bought the night she'd vanished. Also strange, the odometer showed the car had 40 miles unaccounted for. Yet, somehow it didn't get ticketed overnight in that parking lot, suggesting maybe that car had been somewhere else. Another strange detail, a stocking was found in the car, neatly cut, but Mary was gone. Strangely enough, her gas card was used in her hometown of Charlotte, North Carolina. She was also seen in Raleigh. A few days later, a woman matching Mary's description was reportedly seen with bruises, in need of help, and accompanied by unsettling male figures. But just like that trail turned cold. And the rumors, well, they flew. Abduction, secret lovers, even Cold War spies. But a darker theory also surfaced, that Mary's disappearance was tied to a sex scandal at Citizens and Southern Bank itself. Whispers described prostitution on the bank premises, and even lesbian harassment. The FBI was reportedly called in to investigate these explosive claims, and Mary was said to have known about it. But just as quickly as the rumors appeared, they vanished. No charges were ever filed, and the truth of the scandal and Mary's connection to it all, well, that's remained shrouded in doubt. Nobody, no suspect, no motive. To this day, Mary Shotwell Little remains Atlanta's most unsettling missing persons case. A true Southern mystery, forever unsolved, with vital evidence mysteriously vanishing over time.
You know Diane Shields. She was the kind of woman you'd notice. A pretty little thing. She was a secretary from Gunnersville, Alabama. She had a spark about her. Sweet, driven, and just as friendly as she can be to just about everyone she met. But sometimes being in the wrong place at the wrong time can change everything. And do you know, after Mary Shotwell Little vanished from Atlanta in 1965, Diane, oddly enough, was transferred into Mary's exact position at Citizen and Southern Bank. Same desk, same department. She even lived with some of Mary's former roommates for a while in Buckhead before moving to College Park to live with her sister. Eventually, she left the bank and started a new job as a receptionist downtown. Then came May 19th, 1967. Diane left for work in her blue and white Chevy Impala and simply disappeared. That night, East Point police, they found her car parked near a laundromat on Sylvan Road. The keys were still in the ignition. There was blood dripping from the back bumper. And inside the trunk, a grim discovery. Diane's body had been crammed in upside down, wedged between a spare tire and a cardboard box. The contents of that box: a copy of Betty Crocker's New Dinner for Two. Diane had been planning to marry in July. She hadn't been robbed. Her diamond engagement ring was still on her hand. She hadn't been sexually assaulted either, but someone had forced a scarf and a piece of paper down her throat as if to silence her. It didn't take long for whispers to start. Clint Chafin, superintendent of Atlanta detectives, told East Point officers
That sounds like our Mary Shotwell Little case.
both had worked at the same bank. Both had received anonymous roses. Both had disappeared under mysterious, controlled circumstances. And both women's deaths, well, they remain unsolved. Mary's former roommates were terrified. Two of them called the FBI's Bob Ponder and begged to sleep at his house the weekend after Diane's death. They even suspected one of their own co-workers, though they couldn't explain why. But that woman, she was just as afraid as the rest. Ponder didn't believe the cases were connected. On his recommendation, the FBI never got involved in Diane's murder. But many officers still do believe Melvin Banks, East Point's lead detective on the Shields case, later said they're connected, no question. He believes someone tied to the internal investigation at C&S Bank was behind it, but with no hard leads and little cooperation. The case went cold. Even worse, like Mary's case, Diane's case file eventually vanished. No evidence, no suspect, no justice. Just two women gone from the streets of Atlanta, linked by fear, by roses, and by the silence that followed.